wonderful friend of many years and a fellow coach healer. She's a registered nurse and many other things. And we're here today with I think, a very appropriate topic for the conversation, which is aligning our lives and giving ourselves permission to be more of who we truly are. We're at we were just talking about, we're at this congruence. There's a new moon. There was a new moon yesterday, which brings new energy. And we're about to enter the month of February, which is really about final releasing of what we don't want and opening to what's new. And we're here together. So we're looking forward to where this is going to take us. And we're also going to be connecting with maybe an archangel who's going to be here for us. And Sharon's going to lead us in a special meditation to align our lives. So here we go. I think it's going to be a wonderful time. Yes. As always, before we actually begin, I do need to, it always kicks me out of these, the chat messages when we start. As always, I want to thank everyone who is here joining us today, because we appreciate it. And I think the universe in general appreciates those of us who stand forward as emissaries of love and light. We're here every week at this time to light up our lives, to heal, to grow, and to be inspired to create a wonderful week ahead every week. So I'm again delighted. Also, I want to invite you to say hi and tell us where you're from. Nikki Wood is here. She says, "Hi, am I on the right day?" Yes. Yes, this is the right place, right time, right everything. And I also, before we go any further, I just want to take a moment to bring our energy together here, just briefly. So if you're in an appropriate place to close your eyes, just start imagining that you can breathe in the most magnificent love and light possible from the universe. Breathing it in as you inhale. Nice big breath. And releasing anything that is distracting you from being here in this moment as you exhale. I'm always amazed how just slowing down and taking a few breaths brings me much more into the moment. And we can continue in this way, breathing in love and light, and feeling ourselves present in our bodies together. It feels so good. And with that, I'd like to turn to you, Sharon, and ask you to share a bit about your feelings on this topic and why it's important to you.
First, I want to mention it's science that 3 deep breaths will actually change your blood chemistry.
Oh, really?
Dissipates adrenaline, helps you relax. So
that's wonderful.
It's always good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it amazes me every time. And it's so quick. It's something can do any time during the day. If you notice you're kind of getting scattered, just breathe.
Yes.
Thank you for that. That's really wonderful.
So back to our topic. So we're in the new moon, and new moon is it gives us a clean slate, and to realize our potential, and think about what we would like to have in our lives. And it's when we set an intention, it's not so much about what the things we want to do, it's how do we want to feel with the things that we do.
Right.
Do we want to feel joyful in the next phase that we're going into, for instance? And then what things could you do to accomplish that feeling of joy? And we need to think about what we do want, and don't give power to the things that we don't want.
Right. Yeah. And when we succumb to like the fear and the frustration, we're adding energy to the things we don't want.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's wonderful to say it that clearly, because it's simple in terms of just what do you want to achieve in the moment. The most important thing is lifting your vibration in a positive place to the energy of what you want to have. And that's what we're doing in the circle. That's why we focus on love and light, so we can create it for the world.
Right. I used to have trouble with naming my feelings. I was like 50 years old, and the first time somebody asked me, well, how do you feel about that?
Right.
And I didn't know what to say. I didn't have the words to express
Yeah.
what it was. And so I'm getting better at that. I believe in one of your courses, you had a page with a list of potential feelings.
Right. Yeah.
Helpful. Very helpful. Yes.
Yeah. And another part of it is it doesn't have to be a word. You can call it this yucky feeling or whatever you want. I need to get out of this yucky feeling. It's just identifying the feeling state, really, in some way. Because we want, the rational mind wants to have a name for it.
Right. That's true.
And then shifting to what is more appropriate, or if it's required, we can do healing to bring it forward more too. So yeah. Sharon and I had a little discussion yesterday about, well, what are we going to talk about today? And we drew a card actually from the Work Your Light Oracle, which we often use here. Oracle cards are a wonderful way to, I call them manage synchronicity, because it's like you can bring some synchronous insights into your environment in the moment by drawing a card. And of course, it's helpful if it's from a deck that that resonates with you, which this one does, I think, for the kind of work that we're doing. And the card that we got, which is interesting, it's actually the first card really in the deck in terms of inquiries. And we're at the beginning of the year, still moving a little bit forward, but still toward the beginning. And it is align your life. What is not aligned or needs to change? I'm just going to read a couple paragraphs from it, because I think it really is helpful. And if for those who are listening, the way to look at an oracle message is to just allow yourself to listen to it. Some things may not apply to you at all, which is fine. What you're looking for is that little synchronous, whatever it is, that is there for you. And it's kind of like that aha moment. It's like, oh, that resonates with me. So as I read this, just notice if any of it does resonate with you. What in your life is no longer in alignment with who you truly are? We are cyclic beings in a constant state of change, of evolution, of growth. And it's interesting, cycles. We're talking about lunar cycles and the months of the year, different cycles that we're involved in. Change is one of the only certainties of life. When you resist your cyclic nature, you resist life and feel stuck. Many of us have learned to be who the world wants us to be, but there comes a time when it is harder to hold on to this facade than it is to embrace who we truly are, to surrender to how we have changed and align life to that way of being. If you pulled this card, you are being called to let go of who you once were or the things that you once defined yourself by. Could be the job, the relationship, the mask you wore, and to embrace who you truly are now. To courageously step into the person that you came here to be in full authority. To embrace your weirdness and your uniqueness. And I think that's so true in the circle too, that we're here to just allow who we truly are to emerge and to bloom and to brighten us up as lights of love and light for the world.
Yes. Yes.
I thought that was beautiful. Would you like me to draw the card for the angel, just out of curiosity what we get? And the way that I look at oracles and all of this is you can set it up any way you want. It's up to you. So what I do when I want to identify an angel is I use this angel wisdom tarot, which in all of the major arcana cards, which are the major patterns, there is an angel, an archangel. So I'm going to draw only from the major arcana because I want an archangel. In doing so, it also, for those who know the tarot, it goes through the different kind of phases that we go through as we evolve. So there are 22 cards, and I'm going to see which one we get for today. Interesting. Today is the card called Strength. It says personal power and assertiveness portrayed with kindness, compassion that brings about forgiveness, realizing you're stronger than you knew. This is card number 11 of the major arcana. And the archangel is Ariel, and Ariel is generally perceived as a feminine energy, but it is a very earthy, kind of strong energy too. And that's interesting. So this is the picture with Archangel Ariel and the lion together on the card.
Mm.
And I think that's a wonderful addition to it too, to do it with strength, to realize that there is strength when we align with who we really are.
Absolutely. And
So,
we don't acknowledge that strength in ourselves very often.
Right. And I think especially as females, because we actually were, most of us, and especially those of us who were born a while back, as the two of us were,
a while
we
back.
were taught to be submissive.
Mm-hmm.
And well, there is still the strong force in our country towards submissiveness, wanting women to not have power over their bodies, over the direction of their lives. But here we are as women standing up.
Yes.
I think that's beautiful.
Yes.
And it's interesting in spiritual circles, I think, and probably most of the people who would be listening to this are women, although not exclusively, I realize. And those who are men recognize that they're rare among men to be opening in this way, to, as Sharon suggested in the beginning, to be opening to the feeling world. It's very much resisted within our society. And because of that, I think also it points to the fact that the feminine has been so so contained that for us to move forward spiritually on a societal level and as a planet, we need to embrace that and welcome the feminine.
And step out of the box.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's so interesting. We're putting all these things together. The time of year, and I reading about the energy behind the month of February, which is again preparing for those active months of the year, purification. In other words, purifying, removing everything that you're not wanting to carry forward with you in the next year. It's a real opportunity in this. It's kind of also, we're in this stillness of winter that where we can just reflect, to give ourselves the opportunity to take time for reflection. And this is another thing society doesn't do. I can't, I imagine that it can't be a coincidence that in a way where our society is designed so that people are so busy, they don't have time to think about really what they want or who they are. It's just like, well, I have to go to work. I have, I have to do this. Now there's this. And when do we just breathe?
Breathe. Mm-hmm. And when do we take time to feel?
Mm-hmm. Right. To allow ourselves to feel. Right. And to feel where we've been repressed. In a lot of cases, it might start there. I've got a message here from Nikki. She says, my experience have been that men don't know what they feel. When asked, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so true. Oh, there's Lula. Lula says, love that, Jane. Allow ourselves to have time for reflection.
Right.
And I think a part of us, I think it's been true with me, looks at it as being less relevant than time spent in activity. Mm-hmm. But actually it's more relevant because it is from that reflection that we can actually connect with where we want to go. I'll read this. I have this wonderful quote here from a woman. Her name is Tanmaya George. She's a spiritual teacher. She says, it is only when you shine a light inward within yourself that you slowly uncover who you really are, your gifts, your shadows, your life's purpose, and the blueprint for your soul. Which I think is very insightful, that our souls are these magnificent beings, and we don't really have the opportunity to open even to that as a possibility. But it's true. And really, really it's wonderful if we can accept that and embrace it. Because that is where our strength is.
Absolutely. We need to stay in touch with that soul.
Yeah. It's interesting also the element that is connected with feelings is water. Diving deep into the waters. Or we also were talking about how in the lunar phases, the waters on the planet are being impacted more. So there are higher high tides and lower low tides. Well, it's true in us too, that we're like 50 to 60% water, depending on how much fat there is. Men, they say, have less or more water than women, because women have a little more padding. Anyhow, that all of that water in the body is affected during the lunar phases. And it causes the extremes in the tides, and the extremes in the tides in our body cause extremes in our feelings too. And I guess, I'm sure as a nurse, at least with the full moons, you're probably aware of the extremes that occur during the full moons, which are the most potent, really.
I never worked in the emergency room, but of course I knew people who did, and they would, like roll their eyes. Oh, it's a full moon.
Right.
But there's a lot of liquid in the brain, and it does affect behavior when the tides move with the moon.
Mm-hmm. Right. And this is something that Philip, my husband, and I have for many years had as just a habit is to be aware of the lunar phases, because especially during the full moon, there are those extreme emotions that emerge. And what we do is, when that happens, is just to say, okay, I'm going to set this aside until I'm through this full moon period, which I look at as, it could potentially be 3 days before to 3 days after. It's a pretty long period where we're being impacted by the full moon. And what I've found, actually, if I just say, okay, I'm going to set that aside, and I can go back to it after this, this 3 day after the moon period, almost always by then it's not important to me anymore. Which is kind of funny.
Right.
Lula says, I agree with that theory completely. Moon cycles influence a lot of our feelings and behaviors. With the new moon is not generally as powerful. Although there are certain moons that they'll say, well, this is the biggest moon of the year or something, which I don't keep track to that degree, but I look at the new moons generally a period 2 days before to 2 days after. I just try to chill out when I'm in that period of time and not try to resolve those kinds of feelings that are coming up, because it may be almost impossible with all the tides moving back and forth in your body.
Well, also the new moon is practically invisible.
Yeah, that's true.
that's a good time for you to lay low and be less visible. And then move more into your power as you're moving toward the full moon. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't follow closely with any of those things, because I think we also have to look, we are empowered ourselves. So if I come up with an idea and I want to pursue it, and I'm and we're in a phase of the moon that's more like the waning moon, I don't let it stop me if I'm inspired. But it's interesting, if you look at the phases, the new moon is new beginnings, as we've mentioned. It's a time to clean slate, start to gather your thoughts and plans, which we're doing. And Sharon's going to support us in the meditation and going further with that. The first quarter, so that essentially there are 4 weeks. So after the first week, take action. When you face obstacles, do not waver. This is a time for moving forward. Then the full moon, harvest endeavors. It's time to harvest the intentions and wishes of past moons. The third quarter, the next week, release and let go. Let go of the habits that bind you and do you harm. And then we're back again to the new beginnings. It's interesting also to just see that kind of cycle in any kind of action we take. There's the inspiration that comes first, like, wow, we've got this great idea. Then the action, then reflection on it, which is often missing. The full moon, harvest. What am I harvesting? And just letting go again of those things you don't need, so that you can open to the new beginnings again. Kind of beautiful.
The cycles of nature.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And of course, anyone who knows us and our approach to all of this knows also that to us, the central focus when you're looking within is in the heart. And I found a really interesting quote for this too. Theologian this is another person I hadn't really heard of, but I really love the quote. Hans Urs von Balthasar said,
Sure.
Every mystery of life has its origin in the heart. That's something to reflect on.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you automatically just kind of put your hand on your heart when we're talking about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times I'll do that just in the circle, even without knowing it. You have, that there's this space, and it's not actually, to me, it's not physically where the heart is on the left side. There's a heart center in the center of our chest. You can feel it too. I've It's tender there.
Mm.
It's also that the thymus gland is there, and that's the source of our aliveness, our life energy. And when our enthusiasm for life wanes, our thymus glands become weaker, and we have less energy every day. When we wake up, it's kind of like, oh, another day. Ugh, rather than, wow, another day. Here we are. I can't wait. So with that, you ready to go ahead with the meditation and just see where that takes us?
Let's see where we go. So to get started, of course, we're going to take those 3 calm breaths. Deep breath in and exhale. And get comfortable. Put your feet on the floor. Connect with the energy of Mother Earth. Another deep breath. And exhale. Deep breath. Exhale. Feel Mother Earth gently pulling you to herself, holding you gently in her embrace. And imagine that you are a seed of pure potential. You are being nourished by Mother Earth, held close in her love. Feel her love. Place your hand over your heart and feel the love deep within you. Love for yourself, first of all. Love for others. For all the living beings. For the entire planet. Feel deep into that love. And just like the seed is moving toward fruition, so are you. You are planted deep within Mother Earth. And as the cycle of the moon, of the seasons, progresses, so do you. Imagine that the outer shell of your seed bursts open. And you push away that outer part again because it's no longer needed. And so within your life, think of the things that you no longer need and let them fall away. Just let them drop gently, falling away. They no longer serve you. Another deep breath. And exhale. Now bring your attention to the things that you do want. How do you want to feel? Not things, feelings. Do you want to feel joy, love, contentment, effervescence? Think of the things that you want to feel. These are the things, the feelings to bring forward as the cycle continues, as your seed germinates. How do you want to feel in general? How do you want your body to feel? How do you want your soul and spirit to feel? How do you want your health to feel? Allow space for these feelings to develop, to move to fruition. Allow the space for that. Another deep breath. Exhale. Allow these feelings to emanate from deep in your heart, connecting with your soul. And feeling wonderful joy of knowing that you are in control. You determine what you want to feel. And you instinctively know just how to accomplish, how to bring those feelings to fruition. And in that knowing, you will accomplish, you will achieve, you will feel. Bask in that feeling for a moment. And say thank you to your soul, to the angels, for allowing this, for allowing the seed of who you are and your infinite potential to germinate, to burst forth in a magnificent flower or tree or whatever your seed is. To cycle from the dark earth to the open sky. And so it is. And when you're ready, you can return to the present. Feel the surface beneath you, your feet on the floor, and the more active energy and exuberance of what you just experienced. When you're ready, we can be back here.
Thank you. It's so beautiful. The silence just feels beautiful.
Yes.
Interesting. I could feel Ariel's energy there too, just inviting Archangel Ariel. That's a perfect energy with this, I think, with the inviting the earth energy in and the strength, and it's really beautiful. You can just, all of us, reflect on how that feels in every cell of your body, just opening more fully to that seed germinating and those feelings entering every bit of your being. Feels so good. That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm kind of speechless. It was a couple of things struck me at when I envision the seeds germinating. It often takes me back to, I go back to fairy tales a lot of times. Jack and the Beanstalk, the magic seed. You know, planting the magic seed and climbing up, and you go through the clouds up into this open space. I look at that as being like through the atmosphere to the place where you're free, which we've been talking about in recent weeks too. Just into that place of freedom and strength to be yourself, not where you're not so influenced by what everybody else is telling you should be, or who you are, or who you're not, or you know, why you're not perfect. None of that matters if you really understand the truth in your heart. You see, I have I'll show everybody. I think this oracle is still out here. This one I've had for years, Inner Child cards. This is another tarot deck where all of the different phases are inner child stories or the fairy tales. And I've resonated with that for so many years because I can understand that much more than I can understand things like the Greek myths. That always, when I started trying to figure that out, my mind would just go, I don't get this. I don't know what this is about. Fairy tales, I understand because they're in my being from my childhood. I think most of us probably here, certainly those in the Western world, probably are quite familiar with all of those fairy tales. Have you seen that one, that oracle, the inner child cards?
I haven't, but I keep thinking about Jack and the Beanstalk. And wouldn't it be wonderful if, as reading the story to a child, the reader would include the insight about what you just said about climbing up
Right.
the beanstalk and going through the clouds and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nikki and Lila both thanked you and said that it was beautiful, which it really was wonderful, really beautiful. Another thing, when you were talking about the love within you for yourself, when I first started opening to my heart, and I'm a person which and recommend to our students to do that as a practice. You can, as it could be following that 3 breaths process, just opening to the love in your heart. The love in your heart will have a very different message about who you are than you've been receiving from other places, if this is new to you. And that really changed things for me pretty quickly when I started doing it, and I was doing this process, connecting with the love in my heart every day. I just started to see things very differently. So anything, as Sharon was suggesting, if we frame what we're focusing on from that place in our heart, it is heart and soul. It is where the soul connects with the body. And it makes, to me, it changed everything for me. That was one of the most meaningful things that ever happened in my life. There have been others since then too, but that one, that's like a real firm foundation for becoming, to be developing that spiritual strength, because your heart just wants you to be who you really are, to actually to experience those feelings that you want, which are the ones that are going to make you feel most alive, physically in your body.
You just said heart and soul. Remember the song Heart and Soul, I Fell in Love with You?
No, I don't remember. I know that there is one.
Okay. Well, I just pictured looking in the mirror and singing that to yourself.
I love you. Yeah.
I fell in love with you. And because so many people don't love themselves, they're
Right.
so critical all the time. And you love other people better when you love yourself.
Right. Yeah.
First.
Right. And I also feel when people who are very judgmental of other people, it is generally because of a lack of love for oneself. And I feel that statement, judge not lest ye be judged, it's not about judge not because someone outside of you is going to judge you. It's judge not because you're going to judge yourself. If you're judging, if you feel like you have to judge someone else, seeking some kind of perfection or something, it's going to be reflected within also. And it's not that we have to agree with other people. We just have to allow them to be on their paths and we're on ours.
Exactly.
And to me, it's a relief. It's like, okay, so there are a lot of things in society that I'm not all that crazy about that are happening right now, but I don't have to judge those people. That's not my job. My job actually is to be a source of love and light for the world. That's the best thing any of us can do. So if anyone who's a light worker, if you don't feel like you make a difference, just if you can radiate love and light out to the world, that's all the difference in the world. Because it's going to be harder for people to resist it with more of it around.
Right. Somewhere recently, I have seen someone asked a person who was dying, so what is your big accomplishment in this lifetime? And the answer was, I offered love.
Wow. And to think of that, to think if that's the end result, it feels good.
Yeah. That's all. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Just offer your love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it won't always be accepted, but offer it.
Right. And it is, if people are rejecting it, it's because they don't love themselves too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they're closed off, that they don't believe. They may not believe they deserve it or believe that anybody could be genuine in offering love.
True.
There's so many things that are occurring for people. But that doesn't mean that it's an excuse for not, for not being in that place and resonating. Because love is, if you're looking at, you're talking about feelings, if you want to resonate a feeling that's creative, love is probably the most. Love and all of those things that go with it, like gratitude and joy, and there's so many words we could come up with that resonate with the energy of love and gratitude. I know you practice gratitude too. Gratitude is a great way to get yourself into a loving state. Just find something, and it doesn't have to be something big that you're grateful for. Like, I'm grateful this is my favorite pen. I love having this pen. I'm so grateful.
And this was a gift.
I think also another thing I wanted to mention about the meditation when you started and just bringing up the love from Mother Earth, that is so profound, that love. And what I've recognized is if I send my gratitude and love to Mother Earth, I receive it always. I can always feel it coming back to me. It feels like it's coming back even stronger than I can send it.
Absolutely.
So if you want a little love, you can just thank Mother Earth for being with you. Just actually doing that right now, I can feel the energy coming up through my body. It's kind of a magical thing.
It is.
Yeah, wonderful. That was so beautiful. I feel also just very relaxed
Mm.
and grounded. I think that's one of your strengths, Sharon, is you're very grounded. Help. And I'm kind of flighty, I kind of am up there. And a lot of us, our energy actually is not in our bodies. It's kind of out here somewhere.
Mm.
And if you can bring it in and just be in your body in the moment, it's quite an accomplishment, actually.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people just, yeah,
Yeah.
they're just not in the body. And there before I started consciously pursuing spirituality, I was definitely not in my body, and I didn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's another part of it.
Yeah. I did not want to be there. Would rather be airy fairy,
Mm-hmm.
but
so why do you think you didn't want to be there?
I didn't like my body, and it just felt so dense and confining. But once I discovered being grounded, I really embraced that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's actually more freeing than floating out of control.
Oh, it is. Right. It is balanced and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being out of your body isn't necessarily a positive thing. It can be. I think that's where a lot of the idea of spiritual people being airy fairy comes from, because it can be kind of out here like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about love and light, we are talking about love and light, but we're talking about it from this place of being fully connected both to heaven and earth and balance between them.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, so any other thoughts before we close?
I'd like to quote Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
He has said, feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled.
Right.
So feel what it's going to feel like after you accomplish
Right.
your deed or whatever you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then basically you can be living the dream now with your feelings. And then by doing that, you're drawing more things that are going to resonate with those feelings. Just actually, it's very logical when you think about it. If you understand how energy works. So, yeah.
You're magnetically drawing more of the same.
Right.
You. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So wonderful. That I have a quote from Deepak Chopra too, which is interesting. It says, "The energy born of love is creative. It makes everything it touches new." I think that's so poetic, and it is true. It's like when you're touching things with love, how can anything, how can you go wrong?
Right.
I mean, we all have challenges, and I think we need to understand too that when life presents us with challenges, these are opportunities for us to grow and to receive them as a blessing and find the positive in that somehow, which is, it can be challenging. It can be challenging. That's why they're called challenges, but that's how we expand too. So, okay. So, would you like to tell viewers how they might connect with you and what's going on in your world?
You can reach me on Facebook. You can direct message me. That's the only place I am.
That's fine. Good. Okay, wonderful. And thank you for being our guest. What was that from? Thank you for being our guest. There's some
Johnny
show.
Carson or a late night.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, so for us at Awakenings Institute, we have a free resource kit for light workers, spiritual healers, and way showers that has all kinds of things in it. Healing techniques, some information. I think I put recently one of the circles that was really wonderful. I put the recording there. There's a variety of stuff. And you can find it. We use tiny URLs because our website's big and the URLs are long. So this will take you to our website, tinyurl.com/spiritual-kit. We also have created an ebook called The Solution, Make a Difference and Change the World with the Power of Love, it's completely free. Our desire actually is for people to obtain it and to share it with their friends so that everybody can understand all of the benefits of love. We didn't get to everything today, but which it's hard to do. But love actually is really good for your health. And it makes sense because you have more life energy when you're in a place of love and connectedness with what you want to create. It's good for your health. It's good for longevity. Obviously, it's good for your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. It's just a wonderful thing. And it's the solution to all of the crises that we're experiencing in the world. There couldn't be any war if people were coming from a place of love. There couldn't be, we wouldn't allow anyone to starve. We'd be kind to the environment and to all of the other species that are on the planet. Everything would be completely different. So that one is tinyurl.com/444. That's the number 444-solution. And you can find more about the circle at circleofloveandlight.org. So all kinds of options. Also, if you want to support the circle, we'd appreciate it if you'd love our page or like our page, love our page. You can love it. I think you can actually put a little heart on our page and Facebook. It's Awakening Circle, facebook.com/Awakening Circle. You can share the videos, our Sunday gatherings, with your friends, and you can invite your friends to join you in the circle, and then you can share on your perceptions from it. So what have you got to lose? I find it's an inspiration for me for the week ahead always. I enjoy doing it because now the final thing we do is we send all the love and light that we've gathered collectively forward through the week. And this is collectively gathered with all of the people through time and space. Different times you might be doing this, different places. Just sending that love ahead so you can experience that. And you can send it into your past too, just forgiving and loving everything about your past, letting go. So have a wonderful week, and we'll be back here same time, same place next week. And again, thank you, Sharon, for being here as
My
a guest.
honor.
Wonderful, thanks. And I want to thank Archangel Ariel for being with us. I felt her contribution also, and all of the other beings of light. There are many, many beings with us, whether we know it or not. There are angels and masters all around us, guides. So have a wonderful week. We'll see you again, I hope.
Bye.